So yeah, so you've had to take half a day?
No, I've taken 2 days off now because I do like I take a couple of days off every week now for social media stuff. So they're like office days.
That's good. And is the boss okay with that?
Yeah, so basically I've started with a new gang and only like a few weeks ago, and I basically said when I started with him that I'm only going to be doing like 2 to 3 days a week, and he was like, yeah, that's fine. So I basically just say on Monday, like, what days do you need me? He'd have me full time, and he would like me full time, but I literally cannot fit it all in.
Well, you're lucky to get someone who will do that for you.
Yeah,
that's ideal, isn't it?
My old boss was the same. He let me have as many days off as I wanted. Everybody I've worked for has been pretty good with like letting me have time off for all the social media stuff. So,
do you bring him attention or them attention? Do they like that?
We get a lot of free tools, so don't really get like my boss at the moment is just swamped with jobs, so he does not need any more jobs coming his way. But yeah, like it's nice because we get like loads of free stuff, so we get to use all the new tools.
Cool. So you're basically doing 50-50 or 60-40 with...
I'd probably say I'm doing more hours now on social media than I am at work on site.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you doing a lot out of hours? Because this is what people don't realise, and obviously I don't do it as a proper... I hate influencer as a word, but that's the only word we've got for it. But social media as a profession.
Content creator,
yeah. A lot of it happens like out of hours. People don't realise... They look at it and think, oh, all he does is play Minecraft. But like, not really. He has to figure out how to make it good.
The amount of time that goes into it is unreal. Like, you know, it can take me an hour to edit a video, and then I have to make different content for each platform. So I have Twitter, 2 Instagrams, OnlyFans, and TikTok, and I was doing YouTube as well, but the YouTubers been sliding because I literally can't do every single platform. So you have to really pick what ones, unless you're going to do it full time, you really have to pick what ones you can do like good content for. But yeah, most of my stuff is Instagram and TikTok. TikTok, and OnlyFans. They're my 3.
Yeah, I always say to trades, like, there's a lot of trades, because obviously this is a trade type podcast. We speak to a lot of trades, people in the trades. A lot of them don't consider social media at all. They just think, But I always just say to them, just do a TikTok. Forget about everything else. Just do a TikTok.
Look at Mahoney Brickworks. I mean, like he gets loads of work through Instagram, and he's got over 100,000 followers. And you know, he puts out his number on there, and you know, he can get unindicted phone calls over the weekend. It's so, if you get a good following and you show, you know, it's basically a portfolio really at the end of the day, isn't it?
Yeah, that's why I always say to him, you're proving your reputation. You don't need word of mouth, because you've created your own reputation with a history of videos, and people keep seeing your work and keep seeing you talk about it. They know you're good. It's hard to hide eventually, especially if you did something poor or ripped someone off, or they'd be on social media, and you'd be difficult to hide from them, because you can't keep changing your social media account like you can keep changing a business name, because you just won't have the following. You need the following. And
also, like, that is the only way now to get work really is online, because people are just going to go straight online and go, who's the best bricklayer in the area? Yeah. And that's what they're going to find. They're not flicking through the yellow pages.
No. I ask everybody the same question, and it's close, but I actually think word of mouth still edges it. That's from actually speaking to people, though. I don't know the proper figures, but if you ask people, they'll say, yeah, word of mouth is where I get most of my business. But then there are lads that'll say, 80% of my work is Instagram or TikTok.
I think like
they're the two.
I think the younger they are, the less likely they're going to get word of mouth, because the older people are obviously still, the older lads are still going by word of mouth, but the younger people that are up and coming, that might have some fantastic work, have never done a bloody job for anybody, probably aren't going to get that. You know, they have to find another source to push their work out.
Yeah, they'll both exist. It's like when new things happen, that there's always seems to be, there's either reaction that people hate it. So social media isn't particularly new, but it is to some people still, like getting work through social media. So there'll be a reaction to say it's rubbish, that'll never work. Word of mouth's always the best. But the reality is they'll both exist. And this is with anything new, so new products. And because I've seen it, I've tried to introduce a new product, and people sometimes assume, well, that's not going to replace that. And you're like, well, no, it won't. They'll both exist together, and they'll both move forward together. So, So can you explain, like, it's a bit different because of what you just told me, actually. Your day job is actually two things now. But I was going to ask you, just to explain to people, what is your day job? So the reason I contacted you is because you just have a good TikTok account and you're a female bricky, in all honesty. I could not get a female to come on this podcast until now.
Really?
No, I tried. A couple said yes, but then just didn't want to do it. I don't know if I don't want people to think, like, same as you with trade, and with this podcast is very trade focused. It's not just for men. It isn't. You don't have to be a bricky or a plumber or whatever. The industry is huge, and there's women and men everywhere. So, and I'll speak to anyone, but it's really difficult to get a lady to speak to me. I don't know why.
I think there's
story of my life, I suppose.
We are far and few between, but also I don't know, it just goes along the lines of, most of the time when girls talk about being in the trade and talk about their experiences, they just end up getting like loads of hate for it. And sometimes, like, I feel like for a lot of girls online, sometimes it's just not worth it. Like, they might just keep behind closed doors and get on with it, but I don't really care, because I've had every single thing that could possibly be said to me, and it really doesn't faze me in the slightest. So I'll talk about anything. I'm easy. But yeah, I'm a bricklayer, and I was bricklaying full time for the past 2.5, 3 years, and well, last year I started going part time because I had so many podcasts and like social media bits to do, and I was being called here, there, and everywhere to do videos for everybody and ads. So I started doing it part-time last year, and then I went to Australia and I did bricklaying out there full-time, and I did that for a couple of months, and then I ended up just wanting to come home because I just missed England. So yeah, I ended up coming back, and now I'm doing part-time, and I'm really considering like stopping bricklaying altogether and just going full-time content creating. But the catch is, everybody likes watching my bricklaying stuff. So at the moment, I earn more than enough money to support myself just doing social media, but I'm only going into work to literally film, to post stuff on social media at this point.
It's good for content.
Exactly. That's what people want to see.
Well, and you get paid while you're there, so bonus.
I'm getting, literally pretty much getting paid double time, because I'm there filming the content that I'll make money on when I get home.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so we'll get to that. So as far as I was aware, you're a bricky, but you just did a lot of social media. At the time when I contacted you, I was unaware that you were so successful on social media. I'm aware now, just from following you. I'm like, oh shit, she has this and that, and fucking hell, I didn't know any of this. But so if you just explain to people, how did you get into being a bricky? Because it's not a normal thing, really. You're part of an extremely small percentage of women that get into bricklaying.
I think I was really lucky with what happened in my situation. So basically, I was a waitress my whole life, and I actually went to college and I studied media, TV, and broadcasting when I was 16 to 18, and I really wanted to be a journalist. Like, I loved everything to do with like writing and talking, and I was just talk the back end off a donkey. but then I ended up going to Australia for 4 years, and I just waitressed the whole time I was out there. And when I came back, I thought, well, I'm not going to be a journalist because, you know, I was 23 by that point, and I was like, I think that ship has sailed. And I was just like, I need to find a proper job. So I was like, but until I find that, Dad, can I come on site with you and just work, just labouring? So I started off just labouring for him. He's paying me £60 a day, and for 4 bricklayers, 1 labourer for 4 bricklayers. Never laboured before in my entire life. So this was it was really hard, and it really threw me in the deep end. And I ended up quitting after like 6 months of doing that. I was like, I literally can't do this anymore. I can't labour for 4 bricklayers. I want to be a labourer, or we're going to need to get, I want to be a bricklayer, and we're going to have to get another labourer because I just literally couldn't keep up with 4 of them. These boys were fast as well. So in that respect, I hated labouring. I never wanted to be a labourer like that. My days of labouring were over, and I just ended up leaving my dad because he couldn't take on another bricklayer. And I ended up going and working in an office for a furniture company for 6 months. I didn't like that. And then I ended up going and working in a horse sanctuary because I love animals. And the pay was just awful. Like, I mean, £1,200 a month is a lot to some people, but I have a horse. I was just like working to support my horse at home, and the pay was just not good. I was having to work weekends. I just hated it. And then my dad was like, one of the bricklayers left that he was working with. My dad said, well, you know, one of the boys has left, so you can come on board now if you want. And I was like, yep, straight away. Went straight in with my dad, quit my job literally instantly. I went in with him, and he taught me bricklaying, and then that was it. I never looked back. So I did try labouring, but I never wanted to stay doing that. That wasn't for me. So yeah, I'm glad that I went on site with my dad to do the labouring, because if not, I would have never realised that I wanted to be a bricklayer.
Wow. So you didn't grow up wanting to be a bricklayer. So is it your dad's business?
Yeah, so my dad and my 2 brothers work with my dad as well.
Okay. So
No, I never wanted to be a bricklayer. It never crossed my mind until I went on site with my dad labouring. That thought never crossed my mind in a million years that I would ever be a bricklayer. I didn't grow up thinking I want to be in a trade.
Yeah. So you did broadcasting at college, was it?
Yeah.
And so from 16 to 23, did you say you were
16
pursuing?
No, 16 to 18 I was studying broadcasting basically, and then from 18 to 23 I was in Australia living my best life,
just doing any job that you could find at the time.
I think I must have done like probably about 10 jobs when I was over there, different restaurants, bars. I worked on some farms. I just, went all over the place and worked everywhere.
What made you do
Australia
that?
was because I wanted to go over there on a working holiday visa, so I did that, and I then met somebody, and I ended up getting married when I was over there. And believe me, my life was wild. But yeah, I ended up getting married, and so I stayed out there with him. And anyway, we ended up breaking up, and at that point I was just like, well, I've done Australia, did what I wanted to do, and I love my family so much. Like it was awful being without them. So I thought when me and him broke up, I was like, well, I'd rather be with my family than live somewhere hot. And I've always said that.
Wow. Do I ask you about it?
You can ask me about it.
So, no, I'll ask you about the family first. So growing up, obviously your dad and your brothers were just builders.
And so my dad's been a bricklayer his whole life, and by the time I was 18, we had moved 18 times. We'd moved house every single year of my life until I was 18, basically.
Why?
My mum and dad were property developers, and we just kept buying, doing upselling. So my mum and dad, actually, when my sister was born, I think they were at one point living in a caravan, and now we live on like a 27-acre farm with a huge farmhouse, and we all still live at home, all my siblings.
Just kept upgrading.
my parents have worked hard to get to where they are.
So what is it? You 2 brothers and 1 sister?
No, 4 brothers and 1 sister.
Wow. So I'm interested
still
that
live
you...
at home.
Oh, really? What ages are we talking?
So my sister's 29. I'm 28 this month, and then my other brothers are like 25, 23, 22, 21. So everyone's in like the same age.
So they need that big property anyway. They needed it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because the girls like to do horses and the boys like to do cars. So
oh my god, your poor dad.
My dad's my poor mum.
Yeah. Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, poor parents. Horses aren't cheap. I know that.
They're not.
Neither are cars, actually. What? Cars as in buying cars and doing them up, or racing them?
They buy banger cars and they race them around, and they buy cheap cars and they do work on them and sell them, and sometimes they just buy cars just to smash them up.
Wow. I'm interested in the fact that you moved around a lot, because I did as well, but for completely different reasons. So did you go to lots of different schools?
No, me and my sister ended up managing to stay at the same school, but my brothers eventually moved school because they were younger than me.
Yeah.
But up until, me and my sister managed to stay in the same school for our literally whole life, because we only really moved around the town.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair enough. I'm interested because I did that. I kept swapping schools, and like junior schools and high schools and stuff. And I'm still yet to speak to someone else who's done it, but it's hard to remember people. Do you ever, when you bump into people and they know you?
Yeah.
And you're like, fuck, I can't remember the person. So I can't remember anything. People can, like, when I speak to people like yourself, they can call back stories from school, like this thing happened with whatever. I can't really do that. My memories of like, and I want to speak to someone else because I want to know the reason for it. Is it because I was unhappy at the time and I've just blanked it all out because it was shit, or I moved around so much I just can't remember anything? It's like,
I don't remember many good memories from high school. I detested high school and I would never want to go back there a single day in my life. And I hated college as well. I absolutely hated it from year 7 onwards. Year 7, 8, when I got into high school, I don't recall many good memories from high school. I really, really hated high school because I just hated the people that I was with.
That could be what it is then, because I'm the same. I was like, I can't really remember much stuff, really.
I literally have from high school, I still hang around with the same girls that I had then, and we are all still best friends, and I literally have like three people from high school, and they're the only people that I talk to. Everybody else, like, I literally haven't really spoken to anybody else since I left like 10 years ago, and I don't miss it, and I don't want to ever go back.
Yeah, I was lucky when the last school that I went to, so I would have been like that. I had no friends, but the last school that I went to was, I only went there for like 6 months, so I didn't even. Before that, I lived in Ireland, so I wasn't even doing GCSEs for 18 months before that. So I went to this school, and luckily, they're all my friends now. I've got a large friend group now, and they're all from that school. So that was like the only good thing about going to that school for 5 months or whatever it was. I didn't learn anything, but I got some friends. So Brick Lane. So what, training wise? Obviously, you had the baptism of fire, being a labourer for 4, but then how'd you train to be a bricklayer? By just jumping in?
My dad just taught me. Basically, I remember the first day I was on site, and I didn't have a trowel, and when my dad went to like Travis or somewhere, I don't know, he might have even gone to B&Q, and he got me this blooming like 12-inch McAllister trowel, and my brothers were like, how the fuck is she going to learn how to lay bricks using this thing? It was the only trowel they had in the shop. So they ended up going online, and I bought an ox trowel, I think, for my first one. And yeah, then
when was this? How many years ago was this?
That was in
5-6 years
when
ago.
I was No, probably about 4 years ago.
Oh, really? Is that it? Because the fact that you mentioned Ox to me is a new brand. Yeah, Ox is new to me. I don't know if they've been around a long time and they've just started marketing more, but they're a fairly new brand to me. I don't
know. Ox has been around for quite a while.
I don't know. I'm just ignorant to it. Maybe they're just good at marketing now. So
they are. I only bought the trowel because I like the colour of the trowel.
Well, there you go. It works.
So yeah, I bought the trowel and it was good. And then I accidentally spilt acid on it one day, and then I threw it in a bin. But yeah, that was the life of that trowel. And I've gone through many a trowel since then. But yeah, I basically jumped on a garden wall and I started laying, and then I was awful at it. I was so slow, and then luckily we got this job, which was a 3-story, 3 big apartment block, and they wanted it all done in brickwork, and it was all going to be rendered. They just wanted it in brickwork to be rendered. So this was great for me to learn on, because it didn't have to be pointed up, it didn't have to look nice, it just had to literally be one brick on top of the other, plumb. And yeah, so that was great. I went hell for leather on that and laid hundreds and hundreds of bricks, and that took us like 3 weeks, and that's when I really started to get the hang of things. And I stayed with my dad for about a year, but we didn't lay bricks every day. So we do lots of renovations, we do lots of patios, we do lots of cellotexing, plasterboarding, carpentry, demolition, groundworks. It was not just bricklaying every day. So it did take me quite a while to pick up the hang of the trowel, because I wasn't doing it day in, day out to begin with.
Yeah. So basically, your dad took you on. You could call it an apprenticeship, really. More of a
he was paying me an apprenticeship's wage, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, if we take the fact out of it that is your dad, he did you a massive favour, really.
But he did the same to my other 2 brothers and taught them, so he could only really do the same to me.
It is a bit of a risk. We talk about this a lot. It's a little bit of a risk for a smaller business to take on an apprentice or someone who's completely inexperienced, because it's unlikely they're going to pay for themselves for a while.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. Like, I was on a really crappy wage for a long time, and I was doing even when I was bricklaying with my dad, I was still doing a lot of labouring. I remember being on £60 a day for a long while, and then one day I was on £90, and then that was it, really. That was really the extent of what I worked out with my dad. And then I ended up going with a new gang after that. I was with my dad for about a year, and then my next boss, Phil, he needed somebody to come in and do some footings. He had so many footings to do, so I went in with him just for 2 days. It was supposed to be, and he paid me really well, and I was like, I don't want to go back with my dad because the money's way better here. And I knew Phil, and he'd been like my friend for a long time, so he ended up taking me on, and I stayed with him for about a year and a half, maybe, until I went to Australia.
And it's just pure bricklaying at that point with that guy.
Yeah, with Phil, it was full on pure bricklaying, and it was hard and fast. We ended up going on sites and house bashing, and it was really good. So by the time I went to Australia, I was all right. I mean, I think by the time I went to Australia, I'd probably been doing bricklaying for about 2.5-ish years. So it's still not very good. Like, after 2.5 years, it's still not very good,
Not very good money, or not very good at laying bricks?
You're still just not very good at laying bricks. Like, you still don't know that much. You're still not even half as fast as the guys that have been doing it for 10 years. Yeah, exactly. But then to go over the other side of the world and start with a completely new gang and not know anybody and not know anything about the bricklaying over there and not know anything about the way that they lay bricks or anything, to then do that, like, I don't know what I was thinking. I must be crazy. And be a girl on top of all of that.
Yeah. It's a good way to learn, though. Just go for it.
It was a really good way to learn. I remember my first day on site with this gang in Australia, and I had just been awfully anxious for like the whole week before. I was just so nervous. And then like 1 week in, and it's just like felt like I've been there my whole life, everyone's drinking beers on site and chatting away and having a great time. And yeah, it was.
Does that happen? Does that really happen? So
Oh my god, they drink beer every single day without fail.
Oh
there was never a day that they didn't drink beer, that we didn't drink beer. Every single day we drank beer. Even like it would just get to midday and just be like, fuck, it's really hot. They'd get beers out of the fridge. They have fridges on site just full of beer.
So I follow some Australian Bricky, and to be honest, I might follow this guy because you did a video with him, maybe.
Did I do a live video
maybe,
with him?
I don't know.
What, is he the one that always wears the plasters on his fingers?
No. He did.
What's his name?
I don't know. I'm rubbish at remembering names. I always recommend accounts and I say I can't remember the name. You're just going to have to try and find them. But anyway, he did a video and it was like drinking beer and taking a piss. But actually, the beer bit of it sounds like it was true.
Yeah, it is true. They literally drink beer every day. And, well, yeah, it's not just like the gangs over there are really big as well. Like the labourers have just as hard a job as the bricklayers. Like we had to have you pretty much have to have a labourer to a bricklayer over there because you have so much loading out to do because it's all concrete and core filled blocks. And they do all the cuts on the actual cutter, and they have to get all the steels ready, and the laborers have to do a lot of work as well as mixing up as well. So sometimes there would be like gangs of 6 bricklayers, 4 laborers. They wouldn't be able to keep up. They're like laborers are under the pump over there just as hard as the bricklayers.
So over here you said house bashing, didn't you? So you were doing new builds. Was that with what?
Phil.
Yeah, and your dad did like private work or whatever came along.
Yeah.
What's the difference? I ask a lot of people this question. Can you explain the difference between the two of them?
So like my dad would do like little extensions and people's back patios and stuff, and there's a lot more money in that because you can get if you're working on site, you're working for somebody else. If you're doing domestic work, you're working for yourself. So you're ended up with a profit at the end of the day. The profit's not going in somebody else's pocket. But realistically, if you're working on site, you're basically working on day rate. You're not going to ever earn any more. You get a standard fee for doing a lift, and that's what you get. You don't get any more, any less. You don't get a tip if the job's done well. You don't get no tea or crumpets or bacon sandwiches in the morning, that's for sure. If you want money and you just want to keep the money coming in and you just want no stress, then house bashing is great because you just go in, you lay bricks, everything is brought to you, bricks are brought over to you, all your materials are already in the lockup, your silo's full of muck, your forklift driver will bring the muck over to you, stand there and lay bricks all day. Whereas domestic work, it's a lot more you have to spend a lot more time running the jobs, and you spend a lot more time liaising with customers, and you get to do a lot more pretty things. You get to do a lot more different things. You'll end up, if you're house bashing on a site, you'll end up building the same house 10 times by the time you're done. It's just repeat. It's just repetitive. You're like a robot.
Yeah.
But it's good in a sense. Like, I don't mind site work because I like going in and just laying bricks. But my dad can't stand it, and he would never do it because he absolutely hates laying bricks. he likes doing like all the other little bits and organising everything.
Well, there's a couple of things you said there. So one of them is you're basically working for someone who's telling you what to do and don't move from there all day, do this, that's it. And then you've got your place, and Martin, the mastic man, mentioned this to me because he goes and does the mastic. He said, listen, have everybody on site, there's a chain of command, there's a food chain. You do that, then leave it for him, then leave it for him, then leave it for him. And that's where you start getting, so there's a lot of quality issues that it's come up multiple times on the podcast with new builds. And that's where you get it. So the other thing that you've just said, it doesn't matter. They don't care if you do it good, bad, you get no praise. You just get your day rate. And I think that's where a lot of that creeps in, because like, just get it finished. We've got a mortgage on this house. We want to move in. Just get, I don't know, I'm going to talk a load of bollocks now because I don't know much about being a brickie. Just get 1,000 bricks laid today, and then just go home. And you're like, but boss, we only really normally do 200 and this wall's a funny angle and whatever. It's not possible. And they'll say, just do it. Don't worry about it. We'll get it all patched up after. Did you find that you were having conversations like that?
They'd have like deadlines, and they'd be like, well, that gang hasn't come in today, so can you just jump on that plot and finish it? And jumping on somebody else's plot and finishing it. A lot of gangs would leave, and they'd leave their plots half done. Jumping on somebody else's plot and finishing it is not. It's hard. It's really hard because they have probably done it wrong to start with. Everyone has their different style of bricklaying. But you often get, oh, that'll be all right. Oh, you won't see that. Oh, that'll be covered by that. Oh, that won't matter. Or, blah, blah, blah. And the poor roofers or, the carpenters always end up with the shit because the carpenters have to end up making everything square, everything plumb, everything level, because essentially that's what the plasterboard is going to be going on most of the time. Stud walls and everything. So I think the carpenters have it the hardest out of everybody because, like, we can leave a wall, but we can leave a reveal or something like 5 mil out of plumb, which is within tolerance because I wouldn't do it on purpose, but if it is, you're not going to take the whole wall, you're not going to take the whole reveal down because the carpenters will get around that. So there is that level of laziness. Whereas, like, if you're doing domestic work and you're running the job yourself, you're going to have to deal with it if something goes wrong and the carpenters can't get around that. That's on you. So you make sure that job is done right because you don't want that falling back on yours or on your lap. Whereas when you're on site, it doesn't matter if the job goes wrong or anything. You just leave, go to the next site. And that is
sorry, go on.
That is like the essential problem with bricklayers. Like, obviously my gangs I've worked with have been really good and pay really lots of attention to detail and have always like got continuous jobs on the sites, but you do see gangs come and go all the time because they're just not up to standard, and they will get rid of bricklayers that aren't up to standard. They won't keep people on that are absolute crap. I have seen a lot of bricklayers go because their work's not up to standard. So it's not all they'll let any Tom, Dick and Harry come in and lay bricks, because they won't.
Yeah. They must be pretty bad if the sites are getting rid of them.
Yeah, I've seen some absolutely horrific work and I feel bad for the people that have bought them houses. But the problem is with people that buy them houses, I can see it from the outside. You can see it as you walk past it. You're like, holy crap, that wall's got loads of holes in it because I haven't pointed up properly. Or, oh my God, the joints in that thing are all over the place and everything is up the wrong size. But people that buy houses can't see that. They go in, they see it's all new, it's all clean, new carpet, smells nice, fresh lick of paint, get blown away that it's a brand new house. But realistically, you are way better off buying an older house because they have been built so much better.
Yeah.
The cracks will start to show. I've heard a lot of stories from a lot of my friends who have bought new builds and they are not good at all.
Yeah. It's the same as a lot of things in it, especially new builds. If you go into a show home, we nearly did it, and my missus was like, "Oh," I was like, "Oh," and we ended up buying something that needed doing up. It was like a repossession. It was fucked, and she didn't want it. She wanted to buy the new build. I was like, "Trust me, just trust me." So, but it's because we've been into a show home, and it had like new settee, new kitchen, all the new stuff, and we're like, "No."
The show homes are immaculate.
Yeah.
If you're going to buy one, buy the show home.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Like, that would be the only one that I would buy.
Yeah. So what you were saying before with the difference between private work and site work, you're not putting your name to anything on site. So when you're doing it for yourself, that's your reputation. So your pride returns. So you can start. You've got your own pride and reputation to think about. So when you went over to Australia. So did you do that just on a whim? You've already told me that, haven't you? So you just thought, fuck it, I'm going to Australia for a bit.
So, because I'd already been to Australia in my younger years when I was like 18, I'd got my permanent residency when I was over there. So basically, when I came home from Australia, I had my permanent residency. So I thought after being here for a little while and doing some bricklaying with my dad and that I would go back. And I moved back. I sold everything I had. I had nothing here. I got rid of everything. There was nothing in my room. It was empty. My brother moved into my room and I was gone. And I was over in Australia for 2 weeks, I think. This was just August just gone. I was in Australia for 2 weeks, and I messaged my mum and sister. I was like, I'm not going to live out here. I've decided I'm coming home, but I'm going to just treat this as a working holiday now, because I've got the residency. I can do whatever I want. I've got money in the bank. I'm just going to go and have some fun with it. So I ended up buying a car, and I drove down the East Coast until I got to somewhere called the Gold Coast, and I've always wanted to live there. And I ended up like talking to this guy on Instagram, and I ended up like, well, basically I put out there that I was in Australia for a start, and I had maybe 15 gangs to choose from at my leisure. There was so many messages in my inbox. It was unreal, the amount of people that wanted me to work for them. So I ended up choosing this one because they're on the Gold Coast, and I always wanted to live on the Gold Coast. I ended up getting to the Gold Coast. I got into a share house the day I got there. I went and saw 10 share houses in one day, and the last share house I saw I liked. I ended up moving in that day, and I started work on site the next day. Literally, it was just like boom boom. And then I went onto site. There's a good gang of 10, 11, 12 of them, and it was quite overwhelming because, number one, it was a completely different style of block laying that I had never done before, and just had no idea what to do. So when I got there, they basically they showed me how to do it, and then they said, right, you build this bit on your own. And I did, and it was fine. They put a level up in it, and it was all right. So I came back the next day, and I stayed with them for the whole time I was doing bricklaying out there. And then I ended up having Christmas over there, and then I went to Vietnam and Malaysia with my mum and my sister. They met me over there, so we spent the whole of January traveling, and then I came home at the end of January. And then I jumped on with a new gang because Phil couldn't have me back because there's not that much work on where I am at the moment on site, so he didn't take me back on. I had another gang that was doing site work, a pair of lads. They took me back on, and I stayed with them, and I would have stayed with them, but then I started OnlyFans, and then I had to have 5 weeks off for OnlyFans basically, because I just couldn't keep up. It was just it actually went through the bloody roof, and I just couldn't do it all.
Yeah, we'll get to OnlyFans. We'll get to OnlyFans because I was genuinely unaware that you did OnlyFans, and OnlyFans has got this weird stigma that I don't know if it has or not, because I personally don't think it has, because I'm very like, well, people can do whatever the fuck they want if they're happy. But you do get a lot of, and you get it. I've seen people comment on your thing that you get it. Like people are like, oh, OnlyFans, but they're like, well, why not? Like, what are you bothered about? We'll talk about that in a minute. So the Australia thing, the comparison with Australian brickies and Australian trades with UK, other than the style of work, like you said. What's the difference? Is there much difference? Are they just like us, work-wise and with regards the new build versus private work?
So I was only doing domestic work when I was over there. I wasn't doing any site work. They're not house bashing like we are. They're not doing that out there. There's so much land, and everyone relatively lives in like actual houses, I guess. But they're not building these tiny little crappy estates like we are here and trying to cram everyone in. They've got so much room. But yeah, I didn't really hear much about site work when I was there. There's not really, like, they do site work. Like, there was times when I went onto an actual site where I actually had to wear a hard hat and actually had to wear PPE and actually work under somebody else, had to sign in, had to get a card, like a CSCS card sort of thing, and do all that. But you were just left alone. We just went there whenever we needed to get jobs done. But the main thing that you're under the pump with over there is that they have core fill, so they have concrete booked, and you have to have that ready and gone hard by the time that concrete comes. So you are under the pump in that sense, because you have deadlines to work with, and that goes for domestic jobs as well. You've got that concrete booked. And it's the same within England. You gotta have stuff done at a deadline. It's exactly the same. But in terms of like domestic versus site work, I'm really not entirely that sure, because I just did a lot of domestic jobs out there. It did not seem to be that stigma behind new builds are absolutely awful. I never heard that when I was out there.
I don't know what the properties are like in Australia. The only people I know a couple of people who live there, and they built their own houses, and like they've got like, for still expensive. And the people who they've got money, but relatively like cheap to make a nice house. Like,
so like the houses that we have here, like the ones that are on like little estates, like new builds over there, they wouldn't be called like that. They'd be called units. So there'd just be a row of them all joined, and the size of the houses that you get here would be the size of a unit over there. So basically you go from living with your parents to moving into a unit, which is what I did when I was out there, lived in a unit, and then you go and move into an actual like full house. But the sizes of these new builds in this country are literally the sizes of their little tiny units there. And then you go on to a bigger house, and the house prices over there are like so cheap compared to what they are here.
I know someone, I can't remember the price, but I remember thinking like my house cost more than this, and he built it himself, but it was like really nice swimming pool, big garden, big balcony off his bedroom, and it was less than what we paid for our house.
My house here's got 27 acres, and it costs the same amount as this farm I was working at in Australia that had 500 acres. It was only $1 million. Their 500 acre property was only $1 million, which is about, or half that is like $1 million, half like 500,000. Like it's unbelievable. And it's the amount of land that you can get over there. It's just because obviously the country is bloody massive. But same with the houses are built differently as well. They're not double skinned with insulation. They're just concrete core filled, and that's it. They don't need insulation over there because it's warm. So
did you come across any like deadly spiders or anything?
Not really. I was, over the whole time I lived in Australia was a total of 4.5 years. In all, if I put all the times I've been there together, and I saw 2 spiders in that time. And I see a lot of snakes, but tiny snakes, and they don't really come near you, because you go to the if you're going to go into the outback and you're going to go into the rainforest and stuff, you're probably going to see a spider. You probably won't see a spider, but you might see a snake. You're going to rarely see a spider, because they do not just crawl around on the ground like there's thousands of them like out of the Harry Potter movie. They're just like, if you see one, you're lucky.
Is that something you think? 'Cause I've just proved a stereotype that we all think, oh fuck, Australia's got like loads of deadly things that can kill you.
Well, this is what I was worried about as well, because when I was bricklaying out there, I put a message out on my Instagram, and I was like, I just want to know how often I'm gonna see spiders, because obviously I'd done work in Australia in restaurants and I'd never seen anything like that. But I was just like, obviously going onto sites and stuff is gonna be a little bit different. And I had some people that say they'd never seen a spider, and I had some people that said they had seen spiders every single day since they started on site. So I was like, oh my god, I didn't know what to expect. And the whole time I was working out there, I never ever, not once saw a snake and not once saw a spider on site. So it's a little bit maybe of a people scarer. But I never saw any of that.
It's something we worry about more than them, probably.
I think
I've got some crazy shit though. I saw one spider. I was like, I'm never going there. I'm not particularly bothered with spiders, but I would be these ones. And it was like wrapped around a tree branch, like all the way wrapped around, like its legs were wrapped around, and you couldn't see it. It was the same as the tree branch. So it was like the only time you see it is if you accidentally touch it. I'm like, fuck that.
I drove down the East Coast completely alone, with nobody else in my car but me, and I camped at the beach, at waterfalls, in the forest, at campsites, and I never saw a blooming spider. So it is just, people are you see it on, obviously you're going to see it online because that's what everyone posts online about Australia. But when you're actually there, it's really not that bad. It's not as bad as what everyone thinks it is.
Yeah.
And to be honest, like finding work out there, I found relatively easy. I could have continued to work out there. It would have been easy for me to go from gang to gang and move around and travel and bricklay. It's really quite easy to find jobs out there.
I was going to ask you that. So at this point now, you were active on social media, weren't you? This is is this where you were getting the job offers from? Because you were like, look, I'm going to Australia, and you were already fairly popular at that point. I think not that long ago, was it? So would it be easy for a normal brickie?
Yep. So I've said I've had tons of messages about this, and I need to actually do a TikTok on it, and maybe I'll do that today. To like actually talk about how to get work in Australia. So like they have loads of Facebook pages, which is like National Bricklayers Australia, Bricklaying Jobs Australia, Bricklaying Jobs Gold Coast, Brisbane, Melbourne, whatever. Jump on one of those pages and you will see daily jobs of people saying, we need a new bricklayer, we need an experienced labourer, we're looking for somebody else in our gang, we've got a little job but we just need a little hand with. People are posting on their daily looking for workers. And even if they're not, just put on there, hi, I'm a bricklayer and I want work for 6 months, and somebody will have you on. You might have to drive across the country, but you'll get a job.
Cool. And did you bump into many other women in the building industry over there?
I worked with one female carpenter when I was there. Bearing in mind, I was only doing it for 2 months. Yeah. Like, to see a woman in that short amount of time was, it was good.
Yeah. The percentages are extremely low. I looked it up for the other guests that were going to come on, but they never came on. And there's something like it. I was looking at specific industries, but also the rough numbers are something like 2 or 3% of trades, actual trades, not like other shop managers or office jobs or things like that. So actual trades, 2 or 3% are women, which is extremely low. But if you look at the growth of men and women in the same industries, the women's growth is like way more than the men's. The men's is actually going to decline soon. So it's there.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah.
There's definitely loads more girls getting into the trade, so it's really good to see.
Yeah. This is why. So I think you're a perfect person if somebody wants to follow someone who works in the trades who's a female, because you don't. How do I say this with it? So you basically you do that job, like I do this job. This is my job, but you're also just still a girl. Do you know what I mean? I'm also a girl, and I'm making some posts like a girl would do it, and you don't try and fight and say, oh, we can do whatever, because you can do whatever you want. It's like you don't need to fight for it. You can just go and do it. You'll get some you'll get some idiots, and you get them, and I'm sure you'll tell me about it. But generally, I think you'll tell me, are you generally accepted once you're on site and once everyone's got over the fucking, oh, there's a woman? Is it generally just normal after that?
Yeah, it's really funny because I get taken the mick out of a lot, but it's hilarious. Like, I'll go onto site and they'll be like, oh, that looks all right for a girl. And the thing I will say to girls coming onto site is, if you cannot take a joke, don't go onto site. Just don't be in the trade. Because if you cannot take a joke, it's not the place for you. Like, I love having banter, and sometimes the lads at work, I give them more banter than they can even give me. I will take whatever anybody can throw. I don't care what people say. For me, it's funny. And the lads on site are ruthless. But maybe if I wasn't as ruthless back, they wouldn't give it to me as hard. But it's like, it's so funny, like going onto site and them the laughs and the stupid stuff that you talk about, that I admit why people can have a problem with women going onto site, because sometimes women can be pansies and they're like, oh, don't talk about me having a period because I'm going to cry. If you can't take a joke, I'm sorry, then it's probably not best you work with 50 men.
Yeah, so that's the flip side of it, innit? So this is why I think you're good. If If anybody really, but specifically girls, if they want someone to follow, they should follow you because you just do it and you're still a girl and you still do all these things. But the flip side of it is, we also have to let men be men. You can't say to everyone, "Oh, you need," because there are men that are pansies. There are. But we can't ask everybody to change. Men are men, women are women, and lots of other places. If I give you just a random job, like I was a buyer, right? So I was a buyer in an office. Nobody would bat an eyelid at a man being a buyer or a woman being a buyer. So what's the fucking difference?
I have there's times at work as well when I'll do, like, admittedly, I can't carry 3 concrete blocks at a time. I'm not going to. And there was a job the other week that we were doing, and I was loading out 2 at a time, and then they got heavy and I went down to 1 at a time. I walked around the corner of 1 block and the boys are standing there like, "You're not fucking carrying 1 block, are you?" And I was like, "Leave me alone. I'm just a girl." And I will use that all the time. I'm like, "I'm just a girl. I don't care. I'll load out 1 block at a time. I'm just a girl." And I will totally utilize the fact I'm not going to be like, admittedly, I am as strong as the lads. And if I wanted to, I could carry on going a 2 at a time. But I do like to sometimes utilize the fact that I am a girl. I'll be like, "Oh, you carry the heavy ones. I'll get this one." Because, I'm still a girl at the end of the day. I can still lay as many as a bloke. But at the same time, I am still a girl.
Yeah, that's fine. I think, to be honest, the physicality thing, that's the only thing in it that anyone could ever say, "Oh, a man will be stronger." Well, yeah, of course. But what you're doing, do you need to be stronger? Do you know what I mean? Are you fighting each other? There's not many things where, do you know what I mean? There's not that many things.
Exactly. They were like, this is what I said to the lads. I was like, "You've got enough blocks to lay. I'm currently loading out as well. So as long as you've got enough blocks in front of you to lay, I don't see what the problem is. I'll just load out 1 block at a time if I'm tired." As long as it was all funny, it's all a joke. We're not like, they're not serious. It's just, we're just having a laugh.
The thing is, it would suit, if you weren't a very good brickie, the social media thing aside, that would soon lose its charm if you weren't very good at it, because they'd get rid of you. I guarantee you that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I have people online go, "Oh, you're not as fast as the lads." I'm like, well, I still get paid the same amount, and I still lay the same amount, and I still work the same hours. So I don't see how I'm not as good as the boys, because if I wasn't as good, I wouldn't get paid as much.
Yeah.
If I wasn't as good, I wouldn't be able to lay as much.
Yeah.
So I don't see how they go on there like, "Still not as fast as the boys." I'm like, you don't know how many I lay. You haven't ever seen me like lay in a day at work, so how would you know?
Also, which boys? Who,
exactly.
Just everyone.
They're just talking about men in general.
Yeah, some of them will be shit, and some of them will be brilliant. Same as
you obviously don't know how fast, how heavy a brick is. If you think a girl can't lay a brick, there's something wrong with you, because a brick does not weigh that very much at all.
Yeah, so it's a good attitude, because I've got a feeling that's probably why you don't really get that much grief, because you kind of just get on with it. Do you know? And you're good at it. You get on with it. You're not expecting anybody to be careful around you and things like that. So that's probably why you're all right. You get on all right.
I've never really had anyone be horrible to me on site. And if I fall out with somebody on site, which I've done like maybe once or twice, it's not to do with the fact I'm a girl. It's a fact to do with like we've taken over something of theirs and it's absolutely shit, or they've done something that's ruined our day and we're not being able to get on. I've never had an issue with somebody because of the fact that I'm a girl.
Yeah. Just a few cat noises there so you don't get startled by this interruption. This podcast is independent. I was speaking to a listener the other day, and they said it was really interesting to hear how this podcast is made. So just to explain to anybody who's interested, a lot of the interviews are remote, so there's a lot of organising and chasing and setting up times for busy people to be available. But then there's also making sure people have microphones that are decent, and so the quality of the podcast is good. Then we pay for software that allows us to record each voice independently, which can then be edited afterwards. 2 different locations, 2 different sets of noises, 2 different levels, so we need those voices to be separate files. We also pay for software to actually edit the podcast itself, we have to pay for a distributor to store and distribute the podcast for us. And the goal at the moment is to get the podcast to pay for itself. It actually costs money to run at the moment, which is fine because I really enjoy doing it. But it'd be really great if we could get the podcast to pay for itself. With that in mind, a Patreon has been set up. And what a Patreon is, it allows people to pay for something if they want to. Now, you don't have to pay. It's free to listen to. But if you feel like you enjoy the podcast and you'll buy me a pint or the guest a pint, then it's possible to do so if you go to patreon.com/don'ttouchthecat. We appreciate anybody that subscribes, but as mentioned, you really don't have to. It is free. It allows us to carry on doing this and making the podcast better and better. And if we can get the podcast to pay for itself, it's less stressful for me to make. And I can start spending a bit more time on editing. So we record the podcast with the guest, with the microphone that we have to send to them. So we need good equipment. We actually need better equipment than we've got at the moment, but we persevere with what we have for now until the podcast can start making enough money to pay for decent equipment. And hopefully one day, which would be amazing, an actual studio. So there's obviously the time involved in the setup, but then there is a bit of editing required afterwards, and the amount of editing depends on the quality of the recording of the guest. Now, we've got better at doing it. We send the guest a half-decent microphone, but obviously not everybody is set up at home to have a quiet room with as little echo as possible and all the rest of it. So there is a fair bit of editing sometimes that is required afterwards, and this takes time, and it'd be really lovely if we could one day make enough money that actually that time is my job, and I would love that. So any Patreons are very, very appreciated. Patreon.com/don'ttouchthecat. Thank you very much. Back to the podcast. I've never experienced it, but I've worked on factories. So years ago, my first jobs, I was an apprentice engineer, so I've worked on factories, which is all men, like 100% men. And if a lady ever turned up, it was like, it's weird because they've all got wives at home, but if a woman ever turned up on the factory, it was like they'd never seen one before, and they were like, what the fuck? But I get it's changed a lot now. I'm talking 20 years ago. It probably hasn't changed that much, to be honest, on a factory. But yeah, it's I don't see the big thing. I think the only thing left is people who, like you experience sometimes, they'll just never let go of it. And like they're the ones who will comment on your thing saying, "Oh, you shouldn't be doing that," and they're the same kind of people that will comment about your social media as well.
Yeah,
they just
absolutely.
don't get it. They can't accept that whatever their opinion is fucking wrong. Or
I do a lot of reply to comment videos where I'm just like kind of just owning these people and just being like, you have no idea like what is going on in the real world. And I think when they get on at me for like not doing my job properly or not working as hard as the boys or whatever, even though I do, I just think you're sitting at home watching me at work complaining about how I'm working. Like, what is wrong with you? Yeah. Just let the people get on with their job.
The thing is, you're right. There's no reason why you couldn't be as good, and I'm sure you're not as good as some people, but some men aren't as good as some. It's just I'm not as good at some things as other people, but there is no reason why anyone should have the upper hand on you, really.
Well, even though there was this one video I did where I was laying concrete, so it got a few million views, and there was a new guy with us, and he'd only just started block laying, so I was probably laying 7 or 8 blocks to his 2 or 3, and somebody commented saying that guy is completely owning her. See, she can't even lay as fast as him. Oh, I'm laying 4 times the amount that guy was, and they still said I wasn't as fast as him. I was just like, you just can't with these people. Like, you just can't.
That's social media in general, though. Whether it was a woman, man, or whatever. When people comment, I said this on the last podcast. I don't like it when no matter how experienced someone is or how good they are at doing something, I don't like it when they position themselves as an expert, especially online, because then they start commenting a little bit like that video, but there's obviously some sexism involved in that. So they start commenting on videos to say, that looks shit, or you're not very good at doing that, or whatever. But they weren't there. So somebody's posted some work, and it might be someone who's inexperienced or never posted a video before, or genuinely looking for some constructive criticism or whatever. But you'll get an expert come on, or a so-called expert, and say, that's shit, you shouldn't have done that, this is wrong and that's wrong and that shouldn't be in that place. But the thing is, everything might be fine. They weren't there. They don't know what's gone on. Did they fix someone else's fuck up from before? Has the customer requested it like that? Does he know and he's going to fix it and the customer's aware? There's loads of things where if you really think they've made a mistake, or you really think they need some help doing something, send them a fucking message and say,
well, yeah, this is the thing as well. We did this Flemish bond extension, and it had a plinth course, and we didn't Flemish bond the plinth, so the plinth was just done how a plinth would usually be done. We didn't put a, I don't know if you know what Flemish bond is, but basically we have a stretcher and then a header and then a stretcher and then a header, and then the plinth course, we didn't do that. We just put stretcher plinths, and everyone was like, why didn't you Flemish bond the plinth course? What? Oh, you've done it all wrong, you shouldn't have done it like that, you lazy because you didn't cut the plinth course and everything. I was like, the reason why we didn't Flemish bond the plinth course was because there was an existing extension that somebody else had done years ago, and they didn't Flemish bond the plinth, and it needed to match the existing building, which is what we did. So if they would have they instantly jump on and go, you're lazy, you've done it wrong, this is wrong for this reason. But actually, like you said, there is reasons. If it's like that, I have not done it wrong. It's because I've done it on purpose. I don't do lots of stuff wrong, just randomly. Oh, they've done this wrong, I'll sling that on social media. I've said to people before, if it looks like that, it's for a reason. I've done it like that on purpose. Ask me why, because I'll tell you. But it's like that on purpose.
That's what I mean. You don't know. You weren't there. It's not your job.
No.
So if something's a total fucking disaster, message the person to say, I just thought I'd let you know that I've done that job 100 times that you've done there, and I think you could use some pointers, and I'll give them to you. Don't slate them online. Yeah. They're posting the work.
I've had some good pointers from social media. Like, some people have generally said that looks good, but this is what would work better, and I've taken it on board, and still use it every day. But 9 times out of 10, they're just writing shit on there just to give you a hard time.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They're experts. I genuinely believe some of the people that comment think they are the best. And they won't be. They won't be the best.
But then they don't post any videos or photos of their work.
No, because they're worried. And this is the problem. So by slagging other people off. So I'm in a lot of the tiling groups, and I'm always saying to people, don't slag people off, because they might never post again now, and they're not going to learn anything. It might be the first time they've ever posted. So the only posts you tend to see is like shit hot stuff, like the best of the best. So then that's deterring people from posting who aren't the best of the best yet, but they can get there. They won't post because they get ripped to fucking pieces as soon as they post anything, and it's wrong. You get people zooming in. They like zooming in right into the corner that was in the corner of the photo, and then not even commenting, just leaving that there because something on it looks a bit weird, and you're like, fucking, why don't you just message and say, I've noticed a little thing, you might want to go and fix that? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because they just... No, I've never, ever in my life ever written a hate comment or a nasty thing on anybody's TikTok or Instagram, ever. I've never done a story about anybody that in a horrible way. I've never ever said anything bad about anybody. If I see something I don't like on social media, I scroll past.
Yeah.
And I just leave it at that.
Yeah, there's, especially with trades, because if I've seen a lot more of it actually with trades, if you can all stick together and help each other out, you're not going to steal work off each other, so there's not that much competition there really. So if you all just help each other out, you can actually all get better at what you do and all start making more money as well. And I've seen a lot of... Go on.
Go on.
I can't remember what I was going to say now. No, I've started seeing trades actually become each other's suppliers, which is great because you're cutting out big companies who are adding margins in. So it's like if you just help each other out, and I've seen trades help other trades get work, help other trades with marketing and social media and things like that. So I don't see why you slag each other off. I don't get it.
We've got a really good group on Instagram called Bricklayer Social Club, and we have a chat, and there's about 30 of us in this chat on Instagram, and we've been friends for a couple of years now, and we do lots of stuff together. You know, we go away to tool shows and tool shop opening days, and we'll go and stay in hotels and stuff, and all go on nights out together, and we're all bricklayers, and the community that we have is so strong because if one person has a negative comment or something that somebody said something about, they'll put it in the chat and everyone will go straight to that comment and just be like, leave this guy alone, this is right because of this reason. And that we all back each other up all the time. Everyone in this chat has got each other's back, and we are just like a really good community. The Bricklayer Social Club is. It's really nice to be a part of something.
That's where I've said that, I repeat myself quite a lot, but just in case anyone hasn't listened to every episode. So the internet is getting bigger. So TikTok, way more views than anything else, and fucking millions and billions of people looking at it. But it's getting bigger. But the way it's improving is exactly what you've just said, is by getting smaller. So the best, in my opinion, the best things on the internet are the small communities that exist. And so it's Facebook groups. Does Instagram do groups, or is that a group chat that you're talking about?
This is a group chat.
Okay, so communities. So your community on TikTok, I would say, is anyone that follows you and anyone that comments on your stuff. That's your community. And I bet you a tenner that they've all got used to chatting on your videos. So if anybody comes along and tries to troll or upset the community, they'll kind of team up and get rid of that person, and that person will just stop commenting because this is pointless because they've either all ignored me or all told me to go away. So the small communities, Reddit, like all the, what do you call them,
threads,
subreddits, the Reddit subs, they're all fairly small. Even the big ones, even if it's got 1 million people in, that's small for the internet, but they've all got like 100,000, 50,000. So the internet's bigger, but it's better because it's these small communities that are very focused on, like, I don't know, computers or a specific piece of technology or something they like on, I don't know, the TV or whatever. So all these little communities is great, and exactly what you've just said reminded me of something I was saying to somebody else on another episode. The small communities are better than the randomness of the internet. Facebook itself is fucking awful. Are you on Facebook?
Barely.
It's shocking. It's like I don't post any of my bricklaying stuff on there. I'm there with a personal account just to keep up with like my family because they're the only ones that use it. But other than that, it's not a social media platform, is it? You can't grow on Facebook. I think there's definitely something within Facebook, but it isn't. So I treat Facebook as like its own little internet. So it's like Facebook is the internet, but within there is like groups. And I think, in my opinion, the only thing that works on Facebook is the groups.
I like Marketplace. That's about it.
Oh yeah, Marketplace. They're getting somewhere with Marketplace, aren't they? But it's the groups, and I think that's where the opportunities for growth is. So you could, for example, you could have a Darcie Richards group on Facebook, and it would have, I don't know, you could ask a load of questions to be very strict about who's allowed in, so you don't get any idiots in there. And then within that group, that's where the opportunity for the businesses is, I think. And I think I said before, I'm a member of lots of different tiling communities, tile groups. And the businesses have realised that if they can get into these groups, so one particular group called Tilers Community, there's 5,000 members. Which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's 5,000 people who've been answered some strict questions to get into a very specific group for a specific reason. So that's 5,000 customers, which would be difficult to reach in any other circumstance. So so a lot of brands have realised this, and they're trying to get into with those groups to try and put their badge at the top and start offering. And what they're doing is they've created a race. Which brand can do the most for the group, which is fucking brilliant, because like training, free stuff, free goodies and all. Brilliant discounts. So, because they want that loyalty, and they're getting it. It's working for them. And it's probably cost them a fucking fraction of what it would have cost them to actually do the marketing to get there. So that's where I think the only thing that works on Facebook, and to be honest, Marketplace kind of works, but it's also kind of annoying.
Yeah.
I try to say, you get so many questions, like, you get it a lot, don't you? Is this still for sale? Yeah, no problem. And then that's it. They just wanted to know is it still for sale? Yeah, that's all they wanted to know.
Do you just want to chat or what?
Yeah. Right, so we'll get onto social media, right? But before we do, how did you end up marrying someone in Australia? I have to ask you about it because you mentioned it.
So when I went over there, when I was 18, I ended up getting a job in a restaurant, and he was the chef in the restaurant that I worked in over there. And, you know, on holiday, we just ended up falling madly in love. And then we ended up traveling together. And then after my second year, that was it really. I was like, my visa's running out, so it's either we get married or we both go to England. So, and that was the plan, was for him to come to England for a little while, and he was going to get a visa to come over here, and we were looking into all of that. But I think the reality of it was that we were in love and we were going to be together forever anyway. So we thought, we'll just get married. And so that's what we did. We got married after being together for 2 years, and we stayed together for another 2 years after we were married, and then we ended up separating. So yeah, that's basically how we got married. It was a really nice day. It was super cheap. We had a lovely venue. Yeah, it was a really, like, I loved being married, and sad that it ended really, but it's, you know, it is what it is, and that was 5 years ago now, and it's all over and done with. But what a wild story to tell my kids.
Yeah, I won't press you on it too much if you don't want, but do you think the visa thing made you hurry up with it? Would you have done it?
No, I wouldn't have got married at 20 if it wasn't for the visa thing. I would have, if we would have been together, I would have married him eventually anyway, if we'd have stayed together. But at the time, and still now, it doesn't bother me that I was married. Like, it's just a piece of paper at the end of the day, and we were happy to do it, and I was super excited to do it. And to be honest, if that visa wasn't in the picture, and we were just like hopelessly in love, so to get married didn't really bother either of us. We weren't thinking about it, and it ended, and it was easy to get a divorce, and the rest is history really. We don't speak anymore, so it's not like I look back and go, oh my god, I got married, because it doesn't bother me in the slightest that I was married. And I've had relationships since then, and they don't care that I was married, so it's not going to ruin my life.
Well, no, I don't think people care, do they? Like, who cares?
And people say, like, oh, did you get married for a visa? No, because, like, I loved him. I didn't just get with him to just get the visa. We got married so we could stay together, essentially, because we wanted to be together. Yeah. We didn't just do it for a visa purpose.
There was just an extra little bit of pressure. It's not the reason you did it. You're not like...
We could have gone de facto, and that was the other option. It would have been the same amount, would have cost the same. We had all the information there, but we got married because we wanted to make sure that that I was able to get the visa. You pay like $7,000 or $8,000. It's not cheap, and if you don't get it, you don't get that money back. So we were like, right, well, if we get married, then that's just like set in stone. Then, like, they can't like break us apart. So we got married over the de facto.
What's the de facto? Sorry, I don't know what that is.
The de facto is boyfriend girlfriend.
But what does it mean? What do you mean? That you
like
you could have stayed.
Yeah, I could have stayed in Australia just being his girlfriend, and still got the permanent residency. But we just got married because it's harder for them to say no to you if you're married.
Exactly. So you still have to fill out all the paperwork and say, "I'm definitely his girlfriend. I promise."
Everything is exactly the same.
And they might not believe you.
You don't have to give as much information for the marriage. With the de facto one, you have to prove that you've been together for 2 years, and we could prove that we had been together for a year and a half, because obviously the first 6 months of your relationship, you aren't doing stuff like paying for stuff together and have joint accounts and stuff. So we really had about a year and a half's worth of proof, which would have still been fine. But we ended up getting married just because, why not? Because we're 20 and you just do just crazy shit when you're young, don't you?
Well, yeah, why not? Exactly. No problem. That's nice.
And if I never get married again, at least I could say I have a lovely ring, and I had a lovely day, and I had a lovely dress, and I looked lovely, and so not many people get married at 20, and I look bloody good.
Yeah, it's quite young actually, especially these days. How old was I? I remember when we went on holiday once and we were married. When was it? We weren't that young really, and we bumped into some people in the hotel, like young people, and I think we kind of looked younger than we were, I think. So we bumped into these young people, and they were like, "Oh boy, these two are married," and we're like, "Well, yeah." What's the problem with that? And they were like really surprised that you're married. I'm like, well, yeah, we're married.
People used to say it to us as well. They'd be like, yeah, they'd be in shock when we said, like when I said, "Oh, this is my husband."
Yeah,
they would be in shock because we were so young. But if you love somebody, why does it matter anyway? No. People wait their whole lives to love each other and never get married, and I just think I'll get married again for sure. Like, well, I mean, I have to fall in love first, but I would 100% get married again. That hasn't put me off marriage at all.
No, it's there's nothing wrong with it. I don't see a problem with it. So then, social media. We've touched on it a lot, right? But especially with yourself. I think you're the first person I've spoken to who's actually making a go of it. So everyone else has kind of got ambitions, or they do it as just to show off the work, or they just do it for fun. You're the first person I've spoken to who's actually making it work, by the sounds of it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you talk us through, I know you through TikTok. It sounds like you did a lot more before TikTok even. If you talk us through the development of your social media and where it started and where it is now.
So basically the TikTok started as soon as I started bricklaying. I think I'd only been bricklaying a few weeks before I started that TikTok account. So if you go back to the beginning of my TikTok, there are some horrifically slow videos of me bricklaying on there. But basically I ended up starting TikTok because my brothers wanted to start one. I didn't want to start one. They wanted to do it. So I posted a couple of videos of them, and then I posted a video of me. And it's really funny because I couldn't lay anything for shit at this point. And my brothers had just built this whole massive flank. And I was just like, just film me laying a block, will you? Just so I can put a video on, because there's not a video of me on there yet. Let's film me laying a block. So I've laid this one block with my hair down, like proper blonde. This was back in 3 years ago now, where no girls were working in the trade, and it like blew up overnight. I woke up, I was like, oh my god, it's got 80,000 views. I was like, oh my god, it's gone crazy. 80,000 views is not a lot of views on TikTok, but it was a lot to me.
It is.
And then
it just isn't to you now.
No,
if I get 80,000 views, I'd be delighted.
Well, it blew up over the next few days to go to 9 million, and that's still one of my it's still one of my highest viewed videos yet. And so that went up to 9 million, and then that was it really. The whole thing just went from there, and I just kept. Funny thing was, everyone was like, "Oh my god, her wall is so perfect. She's obviously a really good brick and block layer and whatever." I was like, I literally laid one block on that entire wall, and everyone thought it was my wall. So I was like, "I'll take it." I never said it was. I just laid a block on it.
So I'm always curious about this. What happens if you get a video that does 9 million? Let's say I get like a couple of thousand if I'm lucky on various accounts. But if you get 9 million, if I randomly got a video that did 9 million views, what would happen to me? Would I get some money or something? Nothing happens.
No, nothing happens. You gain followers, and that's literally it.
Oh.
Yeah, you don't get if so like if you're monetized on TikTok, then you can make money from it. But even if you get a video to go to 9 million, you're probably going to make £300, and that's it.
Oh. I didn't even know you had to be monetized. You have to do something to say, I want to make money.
You have to have over 1,000 followers, and you have to have over a certain amount of views in the past 30 days.
Oh, what? And so you might get monetized, and then if your views drop in a 30-day rolling period, they demonetize you.
I think it's you have to have over 100,000 followers, but if you've got over. I think it's over 100,000. I think it's somewhere along those lines. But yeah, if you get 100,000 followers, you're going to be hitting that minimum view requirement easily anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it ended up blowing up, and I didn't start on Instagram until I had been doing TikTok for about a year and a half. I just didn't think anything of the social media side of things. I just thought we were posting videos for fun, and that was it. I did not think of like where the potential earning could go from there. So when I then started an Instagram, and just top tips, the best way for starting an Instagram and getting the ball rolling is what I've done with like a few of my accounts, and it's the top secret that I've done is go on there, start your account, go on a random bricklayers page and follow everybody. Then go on another random bricklayers page and follow everybody and follow everyone that's following them. I followed about 5,000 people to start off with, and then that gained me a few thousand followers, and I went back through and unfollowed them all. And then that gets your ball rolling. You've then got some followers. Your content's then going to start pushing. And that is exactly how I started my Instagram, is followed loads of people. They followed me and then I unfollowed them all. And they're probably still following me now. But that's how I got that Instagram ball rolling. I had about 5,000 followers when, on Instagram. And I'd been doing a few little bits with some companies, little social media-y bits here and there, and I was getting asked to do photo shoots and stuff here and there from TikTok. But then Scruffs came to me, and I did a photo shoot for Scruffs, and because they were bringing out their women's workwear range. And then when I started, I did the photo shoot for Scruffs, and that was it. Bye, see you later, all good. A few weeks later, I got a phone call from Scruffs saying they wanted me to be their like female brand ambassador for their new workwear range. And when I started with Scruffs, I had 5,000 followers, and it was a 6-month contract, and my estimate by the end of the contract was to have 20,000 followers. And same on TikTok, I had a certain amount of followers, and I'd estimated over 6 months to gain this amount. I hit my 6-month estimate on both of my accounts within a month of doing my Scruffs brand ambassador. So like, I should have charged them a lot more because I didn't know that my account was going to grow so rapidly. I had estimated my growth based on the previous few months and thought, well, that's how much I'm going to grow. But I literally hit my estimate. So Scruff's got a lot. Like, if I look back, I was doing 18 posts a month for Scruffs, and they were getting so much out of me, but I got so much out of them. You know, I got so much free workwear. And also I just got like a lot of recognition because that was my first like major like recognized company that I was actually working for.
So do you see a difference in TikTok and Instagram?
There's a huge difference, and people say, oh, TikTok's just posted on Instagram. They're not. You'll never see me post a TikTok on my Instagram, and you'll rarely see me post an Instagram reel on my TikTok because they don't perform the same. What's
the difference?
Instagram's very aesthetically pleasing. People don't want here's what I did in a day on Instagram. It's not about that. You're not looking at days in the life of. You're looking at like quick, short, pretty, aesthetically pleasing 12-second clips that's either got a quote or looks nice. That's it. They don't want to know your personality. You're not going to get your personality across on Instagram. You're not gaining followers because of who you are as a person. You're gaining followers because of what that picture looked like. Whereas TikTok, you are gaining followers because people like your personality. You're posting funny stuff. You're giving daily updates of what's happened today. You're showing all the stuff that's gone wrong. Whereas Instagram, it's just very, this is a nice wall. Here's a girl laying a nice wall. That's it. And on TikTok, it's like, this is a wall. This went wrong. This is what I hate. This is what I love. And it's just like TikTok is way more raw.
Yeah. That's a really good way of putting it, actually, because I'll often say to people, TikTok just seems more real to me.
Yeah.
I prefer TikTok over any... It's not perfect, but I prefer it over any of the others. I don't particularly like any other social media, to be honest.
Actually, I love TikTok, but I prefer Instagram because Instagram is very real with the amount of followers that you have with what it shows people. So like TikTok, I've got 270,000 followers. I might only get a few thousand views on a video, whereas Instagram, every reel, it's like 15k, 20k, 15k, 20k all the time. It's like giving me a really good amount of views based on my followers, and it's pushing it out. TikTok doesn't do that. TikTok's very hit and miss.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? The change, I've started following some groups on Reddit the more I use TikTok. They change what they do all the time, so that's a good example. You might have 250,000 followers and then get 5,000 views on a video, which doesn't make sense.
I've seen like people on TikTok with the same, like people on TikTok sometimes have millions of followers, and I'll be getting more views than them. It's not necessary. I just think the whole thing with followers on TikTok is out the window. I would say don't focus on the followers, just focus on making good content. You can have a viral video like I did I had 10 followers when I had a video go viral at 9 million, you know. It doesn't matter about your followers at all.
Yeah. I read something. I don't think they actually show it to any of your followers at first. So none of your followers see your new video on TikTok. It all goes to like FYP and all that, whatever they call it. So only new people will see that video. That's what I was reading. And then eventually, if it snowballs, it gets shown to everybody. But yeah, it doesn't make sense in that respect. But followers aren't really something I care about. The videos themselves, I think TikTok is better for lots of reasons. For everything that you just said, you put it better than I could put it. But also, not necessarily days in the life of just people. It just comes across as more genuine. And it might be genuine that person's genuinely a fucking idiot, but at least it's genuine. Do you know what I mean? Whereas everything else, the total extreme that I was used as an example is LinkedIn. So TikTok, I think, is the closest to being this is this real person's personality, and then LinkedIn is like the furthest away. This is that person's real personality, because LinkedIn to me is fucking weird. It's like,
I don't use LinkedIn.
It's strange. If you don't use it, you won't know what I'm talking about, but it's the strangest place. Because a lot of people will say it's cringe. It's very cringe. Because you'll get like, everybody seems to think that every post needs to be inspirational for whatever reason. So everybody turns into like David Brent or...
That's what I feel about Instagram.
Well, a little bit, yeah. But it's either David Brent or the guy from American Psycho. I forgot his name. I love him, and I forgot his name. Patrick Bateman. So it's a fine line between psychopath and inspirational little verses. It's weird. LinkedIn's a weird place. So yeah,
I won't go there.
It's weird. It's very weird. So yeah. So how are you? So you don't get paid much for TikTok. You already established that. Do you get you don't get paid much for views either on Instagram?
So Instagram doesn't pay you at all. Instagram is not paid. TikTok pays you a very small amount. Like, I'm talking like 20p per day. But I make money on the ads, which is why followers are important, because ads usually are based on how many followers you got. You can charge more. So the more followers, the more you can charge more for ads. So that's basically where I was going most of last year and the year before, was just going crazy at ads. Like, couldn't fit them all in. There was just so many, and I felt really bad for my followers at the time, because I was like making money, so like quite a lot of money, but every day it was just like I was trying to fit in like the little bricklaying bits that weren't ads, but people are just saying to me, your whole page is just like an ad now. And I'm like, well, yeah, because these people are paying me. Like, I'm not being funny, but I couldn't really care that much if you unfollow me because these people are paying me money. So I'm going to do it. But at the same time, I wouldn't advertise something that I didn't like. There was times when I got sent stuff from companies. I'm like, this product is crap. So I'm sorry, but I'm not going to do it. And I had one company send me the same pair of shoes 3 times. And I was just like, it doesn't matter what shoes you send me. They keep breaking. So I'm not going to advertise them. So the things I was advertising, I generally did use and do use every day. So I don't want people to think, oh, she's just selling, she's putting it on there because they're paying her. Like, I generally do wear Scruff's workwear every single day. I generally do use Ox tools every day. I use my Stabila levels every single day. And you will see all these tools in all of my videos, regardless whether I'm selling them or not. But yeah, like, it's the best way to make money is when you've got them followers, is to be able to do ads. You know, why would you not? Why would you say no? Just, oh, I might lose some followers. Well, those followers aren't paying you. Like, do ads because I'm putting in all this money and all this effort and all this time. And if I've gained all these followers and I can't make any money from it, what was the point?
Yeah.
And I know it's like advertising women in the trades. I'm doing that as well as doing ads. Like, you can do both. It's not just about just being a woman in the trade. Look at all these men that are on Instagram, all doing brand deals as well. So it's not just, you know, I'm not just using Instagram and TikTok for advertising women in the trade, but I'm also trying to brand myself.
Yeah.
I don't get any jobs from TikTok and Instagram. I don't get any like physical bricklaying jobs because I don't post my work anywhere. It's all about branding myself, who I am as a person. It's not about getting work on sites at all.
Yeah. The ad thing's funny. I've discussed it on every single podcast, and some people are dead against it. Like, I would never do an advert. And I'm like, well, why? Because like you've just said, if you don't have to just promote anything, anybody that's willing to pay, if you genuinely like something, it's probably going to be in your video anyway at some point, even if you weren't advertising it. So why not advertise it and get paid for it?
Everything I'm advertising is for people in the trades. Like, I've just done the delivery service for Screwfix. Like, although it's an ad, you now know about it. You now know that Screwfix has a delivery service. How can that harm you in any way? You're a tradie. You now know about something to do with the trade. Before, you might not have known that. All I'm doing is reviewing tools and telling you what tools I'm using. You could do with it what you like. If you think that, if I'm saying these trousers are good quality, all you're going to do with that information is think, oh, I'm going to buy them trousers. She says they're good quality. They are. I don't sell anything that's not. I haven't,
yeah.
Never have I ever had anyone come back to me and be like, by the way, I bought that tool and it was crap. Ever. Never.
Yeah. Well, it's that thing with your reputation again, isn't it? Where if you're on a private job, you wouldn't cut corners. This is your reputation. It's your social media account. You can't just suddenly change it to another one. So if you start promoting things that are, and you see loads of people doing it, it's shit. You buy that product, and I've seen things that I know personally are crap. So people are promoting stuff that they know is crap. It's going to bite them eventually because they'll just lose all the reputation on the social media account, and it'll disappear.
Well, people can generally see as well. Like, my Still Blue boots that I wear, I've had them now since I got them in like September. I'm still wearing them now. It's May. People can see them in every single photo that I'm wearing them, and people can see in all my videos that I am using all the tools I advertise. I wouldn't just use them and then just throw them to the side and use something else. So it's just about trusting the person that's actually selling that stuff to you as well, that they're actually going to give you a genuine review, that they're actually going to give you their genuine, honest opinion.
Yeah, and it's something you're wearing anyway. So why not get paid? I don't see the issue. So you make money by doing like literal ads. This post is an ad, but that's connected to what you do as a job. Those adverts wouldn't exist if you weren't a brickie, I would imagine.
Nope.
They wouldn't be interested. Nope. Would that be enough? Let's say you didn't get paid for being a brickie and you just pretended you were a brickie just to carry on doing the ads. would that money from the ads be enough to be a job?
Nope. So this is the reason why I started the other account, OnlyFans, because I wanted another source of income that was going to come in regularly. That wasn't just, oh, here's a few hundred for this ad, and here's, oh, we want you to be a brand ambassador, negotiations, all that. It's a sturdy income that's coming in every day, not just once a week, not just once a month, not just once every 3 months, when I might just get an opportunity. You know, the ads don't come up all the time. Sometimes I've got 10 on the go, sometimes I've got 1, sometimes I've got none. At the moment I've got none. You know, it's very hit and miss with when the money's going to come in. So it all just depends, and it's not a sturdy income.
Yeah. So all right, so OnlyFans, how did you get into it, and what made you to even look at it to say, right, I'm going to do this?
So I'd been thinking about doing it for like 2 years. Obviously, it came out like 5 years ago or 6 years ago, and everyone that was starting OnlyFans was given a bad name off the bat, and not many people were doing it. And I've been pondering it for the past 2 years, and I really wanted to start it. And I just, you know, my social media was picking up, and I just thought, I don't want to do it because I don't want to ruin my reputation that I have as like this, you know, golden girl bricklayer that never does any wrong, just this nice girl that works on site, which is what I am, but it is really what I was being portrayed as online. And the reason why I got a lot of my brand deals, because I was the ideal candidate, the ideal image of what I just sat in that box perfectly, you know, like got a lot of followers, like all right looking, like, you know, looks good in workwear, hard working, promotes everything that all these brands really wanted. But yeah, like I said, the brand deals come and go, and I kind of got to the point where I was just like, you know what, if not now, when? And I just sat there and I was like, right, I'm going to start creating the content for OnlyFans and getting it ready just in case I start the OnlyFans account. So I actually started filming content for OnlyFans months before I released my OnlyFans details. I had been doing stuff, preparing for it. I had it all there. It was all uploaded, ready to go. And I remember just sitting in my bedroom, and I was like, I'd like set myself a deadline. I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to do it. And then I just like clicked share, and that was it. And I was just like, oh, like felt like it was like a detonator going off, you know, like.
Why were you thinking like that? Do you think why were those thoughts there? Was it because you were thinking that, or you were thinking, what are other people going to say?
I was thinking that, to be honest, I don't really. Obviously, I was worried what people were going to think, because it's like a massive change in my life. But I was mainly worried that I was going to lose like everything that I'd worked for, because I'd worked really hard on my social media. I was worried that I was just going to lose tons of followers because of it. And actually, I haven't lost hardly any. I honestly, my followers are exactly the same now as they were. They haven't changed at all. So that was really good and really positive. But I had a lot of hate comments, like more than, not, to be honest, I thought I would get more than I did. I didn't actually get as many as I thought I would. Like TikTok, obviously, people are like, so disappointed. Oh my god, we've lost another one now. It's like, I don't know who you are. I don't ever think I've seen you comment on any of my stuff. You've just been sitting here watching my videos that I spend hours and hours and hours and hours making, and then just comment on the one thing that I want to do for myself, saying that you're disappointed. Like, you don't know me.
Yeah, it's just, what's it got to do with them, really?
And it's also like, yeah, it was just something I wanted to do for myself. Like, everybody online's like, this one woman, I don't know who she was, going off and saying how I'm speaking like I'm entitled because like I'm Kim Kardashian or somebody, because I basically said like I've been giving everybody like free content, and not to toot my own horn, but it takes a fucking long time to create content.
Yeah.
It takes me hours to sit there and film and edit videos and put them on YouTube and TikTok just purely for everybody else's entertainment. So when I sit there and say I've given you guys free content, I have.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't tried to make money from my followers in any way. I've never asked them for money. I've never asked them to donate money. I haven't sold any merch. I haven't done anything for myself. All I've done is promote tools, you know, so and promote women in the trades. But other than that, I've never ever done anything for myself on my social media and tried to like pyramid schemes and get people in and I'll give you discount, nothing like that. So this was the one thing that I actually did for myself to make me money that went into my pocket, and I am my own boss.
Yeah, well, you're right, aren't you? I've said this before as well. If you've created and curated a load of videos on anywhere, doesn't matter where it is, and people enjoy watching them, you're providing entertainment. Whether people might not see it as entertainment, but it is. It probably demands more of people's time than what you would consider classic entertainment, like theatre or the cinema. People are looking at this stuff more. So if you're creating stuff that people enjoy, why shouldn't you get fucking paid?
Exactly.
If you can figure out a way of getting paid without being annoying, so people stop following you. If you can figure it out so people still enjoy it, great. Happy days. It doesn't matter. And those people, I'm always amazed when people comment on someone else's life, because I'm like, it's not your life and you don't know that person, you're not even related to them. But even if they were related to them, the only person, especially things like OnlyFans, because it has this stigma, the only person that matters is the person who's doing it. So if you're comfortable doing it and you're happy doing it and it doesn't bother you, and it's not affecting you in any way, and it's actually making your life better, that's it. It doesn't really matter what anybody else says. So I see you replying to people sometimes, explaining in the way that you just explained, this is why I do it, and I enjoy it, and actually, guess what? It pays quite well. And when I first saw you doing that, I was like, don't do that. Don't fucking just ignore them. But then you can tell me if this is why you do it or not. By replying to them, it's a really good way, because I know TikTok won't let you promote, like directly promote it. It won't let you, will it? But it's a really good way of highlighting the fact that it exists.
Yeah.
Is that why is that why you reply?
You see how many reply to comment things I do on my TikTok? It's like all the time I'm replying to people's comments, because I will film do a reply to comment video, and I will argue with people and battle with them and such, because it gets people talking.
Yeah, exactly.
Because my mum says to me, why do you reply to the hate comments? I'm like, because if I didn't reply to the hate comments, then I wouldn't have a TikTok account. Because that's the reason why I'm here, is because I fought my way for everybody. I replied to everyone's comments, and I replied to everyone's hate comments, and really stuck it to people who told me I couldn't do it. And I'm still sticking it to people now, because their opinion, right? You're going to come onto my page and put your opinion on my video, which I made, and you don't think I'm going to reply? Like, I'm going to reply.
You get it.
Number one.
Yeah, you get it from men and women, don't you, as well? You get it from both.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, girls. I always say women want to be me, men want to be with me. That's just a joke. But yeah, like,
it's a joke, but there's probably, I know you're joking, but there's probably a hint of truth in it, because the women will be jealous. There'll be jealousy involved, and the men who are complaining, I can guarantee you, a high percentage of them have gone looking for that date, those whatever it is. I don't even know what it is, but pictures or whatever it is. So you're not far off by saying that.
Girls on there act like they've never sent a nude before, and like they're acting like nobody's ever seen them naked before, and like these men on there are acting like they've never looked at a page 3 in a magazine before. Like, they're horrified. It's like, you see this in your everyday life, and you've done stuff like this in your everyday life.
Yeah.
The only difference is I'm getting paid for it, and they don't like that.
Yeah. It's the begrudgery thing. There will be some people who are just genuinely, I can't believe this thing exists. I'm so disappointed, but it's not for them. So fuck them. But
when I got the whole it's demoralizing and it's degrading and stuff, I'm like, who to?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
If I'm perfectly fine with doing it, why is it degrading? If I've chosen, I filmed that stuff, I posted it online, I put the price on it, you're the one buying it. Yeah. Like, not me. How is it degrading for me in any way? I'm not giving that away for free, you know?
Yeah, exactly. It's they're just wrong, aren't they? It's none of their business. But yeah, so how does it actually work? I honestly don't know. So I asked before this podcast, right? So I'm very aware that you're a woman, and I'm not a woman, so I can't actually comment on the way that you live your life. I can't. I try not to give advice anyway, but I can't give advice. So I asked my missus. So I said, what do you think of this? This girl's a brickie. She started an OnlyFans. I genuinely don't know what you'd do on there. You might tell me in a minute. And she's like, brilliant. She said, I would, if I could. She's a teacher, so she can't, because she would get the sack. But she was like, well, why not? Like, from a woman's perspective, she's like, yeah, fine. Good. If she's okay with it, if people want to pay for it, happy fucking days. Like, why not? She would do it if she could, but she can't.
I get a lot of girls saying that to me, like, good on you. I have had so much like positive stuff, more positive stuff than women than I have the men, actually. It's funny enough, I've had more hate from the women than men, but I've also had more positive than the women than men. It's strange. Like, yeah, the men don't really comment. It's more like my DMs are flooded with like women either telling me they don't like what I'm doing or messaging me saying, can't believe you've done that, that's amazing, I want to do it. It's so weird. Like, there's just, obviously everyone's living different lives, but there's the amount of women that hate it to women that want to do it is equal. So it's, yeah, I've really had a really fun time talking to these girls, telling them what's happened with me and my experience, and like in like the hope that they will start one, because I can just see how much it's improved my life for the better. Like, I came back from traveling and I was in debt because I had just spent all of my money traveling, and I didn't start the OnlyFans to get out of debt or nothing like that. I just started the OnlyFans because I just thought it's another social media platform, and if I want to jump on this, I need to do it now. It's taking off, everyone's doing it, and I'm falling behind. It's a trend, and if you're comfortable doing it, then just do it. TikToks are cringy, I still do it. Instagrams are cringy, I still do it. OnlyFans is cringy. It's all cringy. At the end of the day, it's just a picture on a screen. But yeah, it's gonna be massive, and one day everybody will just be doing it, and it'll be too late. It'll be like YouTube, been and gone. Everyone's earned their money. It's not as big. It's hard to get big, and that'll be what OnlyFans will be.
Yeah.
But I needed to do it now before it was too late.
I think you'll always be okay because you've got the other following. You kind of did it at the perfect time. You thought about it for 2 years, but in those 2 years, you built a following within the trade. What you do.
I wouldn't have been able to do it then. Definitely not. You have to have a social media following, or be able to build a following to do OnlyFans. You can't just do an OnlyFans and put a message out to 1,000 people. Overall, statistically, you get 1 to 3% of your followers go to your OnlyFans. So if you think I've got over 300,000 followers across all my socials, only 1% to 3% of them is going to go to my OnlyFans in total. So that's not a lot. You have to have a lot of followers beforehand to be able to do anything on OnlyFans, I think.
I think that's a lot of the time. Like I said, I mentioned Minecraft before because on one of the Reddit TikTok things that I follow at the moment. So I got a video that got 0 views the other week, and I'm like, oh, how does that happen? But so I started following things to understand TikTok a bit more, and there was a guy on there, and he made like I think it was $32,000 in 60 days on TikTok. I was like, how the fuck's he done that? And he plays Minecraft.
On live? Does he do it on live video?
That's as much as I know about it. He plays Minecraft. Sometimes his girlfriend's with him, but he gets like 18 million views per video.
But then he'll be getting paid. He'll be getting paid per view. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's not doing serious numbers. But the point is, I looked into his TikTok. I was like, how's he doing that? The reason is because his videos are really good. If you like Minecraft, he's good at the game, so he's obviously put time into getting good at it. He builds like fucking castles and all sorts of shit. But also the videos, and this is the point I'm making. People don't realise the work that goes into doing it. It's like you don't just do Minecraft or do whatever you do on OnlyFans. You have to set it up, think about it, film it, edit it, make it look good, post it, market it, promote it, and it's a full-time job. So
the OnlyFans, because you spend I spend a lot of my time just promoting my OnlyFans rather than like I spend a lot of time creating content for OnlyFans and replying to messages on OnlyFans, but the promotion that you have to do to get people to even go over to your OnlyFans is huge. You spend more time trying to get people over there than you do on there. OnlyFans works for itself. You check the content up and that's it. People can watch it or they don't. But getting people to go there is the hard part.
Yeah, that's the work, innit? So how does it actually work? Because I'm totally oblivious to how OnlyFans work. So is it like
So it's like a subscription price thing. So basically, you go on OnlyFans and you have to click a link to go to somebody's profile. So my link's on my social medias everywhere, so you can find it. But you click the link, it'll take you to my OnlyFans profile, but you have to create an account and stuff and put your card details in. And you click subscribe. You can subscribe as a one-off for a month, or you can stay on the subscription and it just keeps rolling. And basically I have loads and loads and loads of content on there that you can watch from the beginning of time. So if you subscribe, you can watch all of my content from the day one that I started OnlyFans. It doesn't disappear, it stays on there. Like Facebook, you can scroll and scroll and scroll, and it's just pictures and videos of whatever you want to put on there.
Yeah. So you pay a monthly whatever. How much is it?
Mine's like £5.50 a month.
And there's enough people that pay that. So who did I see? It was someone really famous, and she made like $20 million in a month. And I'm like, why the fuck are people paying? Like, because so many people subscribed. Was it? It was a rapper, I think, some famous rapper. I'm thinking, why? This is where I'm ignorant to it. I don't get it. It's like, why would people pay?
Because most of the time people are posting like explicit pictures of themselves, and you just can't see that content anywhere else, which is why.
No, I know, but you can get content like that from anywhere else for free.
But the thing is, the reason why OnlyFans is different to something, say, like Pornhub, is because it's really intimate, because you really know that person. You've followed them on TikTok, you've followed them on Instagram, you've watched their life, you know about them, and then all of a sudden you can see them naked. You are just like you know, if Beyonce, like, or say like, who's your favorite artist or somebody that you admire or somebody that you followed for a while, Taylor Swift, for example. I love her. If she posted a nude, I'd want to see it. You know, you just want to see it, wouldn't you? You just would. So that's what happens is people, they get famous, and then they're like, right, well, here's a picture of my boobs. And then everyone's just like, run to go get the photo. So that's basically what happens. Is it's not just like you're seeing a random girl on the internet.
Yeah, you're right.
It's like they know you. The
curiosity,
know about your life.
Yeah, you've created a base that are like, oh yeah, I'll pay that.
But the subscription fee isn't where I make my most money. That makes half of my money. I make the other half in the DMs, people tipping, sending requested videos and photos, selling different things on there. So you can utilize OnlyFans however you want. But there is just so much earning potential. Like, could just be like on there talking to somebody in my messages and be like, oh, if you like that photo, here's another one. But bosh, $10. There's another $10. If you like that photo, here's another one. Bosh. So you can just go all night and just keep sending him stuff. It's just like money.
Yeah, I would do it, honestly. I would. So people subscribe, but the real money, and I've heard this before, from a dominatrix lady. So the real money is in the private, like a lap dancer, I suppose.
Yeah.
Similar setup.
Like you pay the subscription just to get in the door.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of people, like for example, there's a girl that I follow on TikTok called Anna Paul. She's like one of the biggest creators on OnlyFans. You pay just to get in the door. It's $10 just to get in the door.
Yeah.
You don't see anything really more for that $10. You just get in the door. All the stuff that she posts on OnlyFans is posted on her Twitter, which you could see for free. But you have to pay to get in the door to then pay to get the other stuff. But my OnlyFans isn't like that, because I post a lot of my stuff on, like, you pay to get in the door with mine, and you get loads of stuff for free. Like I post content every day for free, because I'm like, I have a lot of people just paying to get in the door, and I want them to stay. So I'm like, I want that reoccurring subscription. So I'm like giving them loads and loads and loads of content for free. And then if they want more, they can come to me. But there's plenty on there anyway.
It's interesting, isn't it? What kind of requests do you get? Do you get any like?
I guess
I was going to say weirdos then, but that'd be wrong, because I'd be lying if I said I not that I pay for requests and stuff like that, but everybody watches porn and stuff like that, so I'd be a liar. But there are some over the top.
There's
people.
Yeah, there's been some strange requests. I think I don't like to say like too much, because I don't like, what if they're listening and I'm just like, oh, this weirdo said this to me. But like there was one person that really wanted me to pop some balloons, and he wanted me to role play that we were like siblings, and it was a whole weird scenario, and I said no to that. I was like, I don't really want to do that. But most of the time, like if I get a requested video, like I sell a lot of feet pics, and I don't think that's weird. I just generally think people like feet, that's fine. Like sometimes people like boobs, some people like butts, some people like feet. So I get a lot of feet people, and and I've also got people that really like my belly button, so I sometimes sell pictures of my belly button as well, videos of my belly button. And it's just it's strange, because you end up like, you start off, and when I started OnlyFans, I was just like, this is the content I'm going to do, and that's it. But then somebody goes, oh, can you send me a picture of this? And I'm like, yeah, actually I could. And then you end up exploring and finding different things about everybody that's on there, that you just like, it opens a whole door that you never thought was even there. But I love it. I think it's all great. I'm just like, I'll do lots of different things, but there are some things I won't do. Like, I'm not going to do a role play scenario where I'm your sister and we're popping balloons together, because I'm just like, that's just not what I'm about.
Oh, is that the same person? Was that all the same deal?
Yeah.
So role play that with
that
related
we were siblings
and balloons. That the same person?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That we were at his birthday party and that he wanted me to pop some balloons.
That's alright. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, but I'm not an actress, I'm not like, but there's just some things like I can't really do that, because I just don't know how, and I don't know how I'd make that like.
I'm sure you could figure out how if you had enough money.
There are some really great people on OnlyFans which would do so much stuff with balloons. They could probably do it, but for me, it's just. Tell me to build a wall. I'll build a wall for you. I'll do that on a video, but I can't like role play and stuff.
Have you ever looked into why people are into certain things? Like where they get the fetishes from? It's from a very young age. You get it when you're like 4 to 6. It's embedded. I have
asked one of my followers, and I was just like, why do you like feet so much? They were just like, just don't know, just really like them. There's not really a reason for it. They just like feet.
There is. I don't know it all off the top of my head, but I did read about it once. There's a psychological explanation for it. It's from when you were very young. Yeah, it's a very young age it gets imprinted. So it's not that person's fault. They just like balloons. They had some experience with a balloon situation when they were younger, probably.
I don't think there's anything wrong with what these people want. But there's just some things that I just can't do myself, because I just don't think that I'm capable of them paying me and me actually producing a good bit of content for them. I just think like some people, like I'm really good at lots of stuff on OnlyFans, but there's some things that I think they'd be wasting their money if they asked me to do something like that. That would be all it was.
Yeah. It's funny, isn't it? That world exists, and that's the world that the people that give you grief, they just can't accept that world exists.
No,
but
and
it does, unfortunately.
It's
for
a
them.
world that I'm so new to. It's just, you know, I've only been doing it 3 months, and I'm still learning so much. But genuinely, people are like, oh, you know, you're going to get all these horrible, seedy guys on OnlyFans, and they're going to come on there and look at you and all this stuff. All the people that message me on OnlyFans are all super nice. Some of them just come on there just to say hi. Some of them come on there and pay me and want to know about bricklaying, and they ask me loads of bricklaying questions. So like, this is the only way I can talk to you. So I paid £5 so I could message you.
Wow.
Most of them on there are actually really nice people. There's nothing wrong with any of them on there at all.
It's just another community. It's the same as what I was saying before. The TV show community on Reddit, or someone likes Batman. There's fucking 500,000 people in that community. Tyler's community, 5,000 Tylers, and it just so happens that on OnlyFans is just another platform that's letting people create communities and share this and whatever they're doing. But those people exist. There's nothing really wrong with it. It's just that some people can't accept that that does exist. But it's not hurting them. It's nothing to fucking do with them. They don't see it. It's not being forced on them. It's just a thing that exists.
It's very easy just to unfollow me or block me if you don't want to see it. You know, you can just get on with your life and never have to see me ever again.
With the begrudgery thing, right? And I've mentioned this before as well, and I steal this from another podcast. Somebody else talked about it. The thing why you get so much grief is because it's begrudgery from people that they can see themselves in your shoes because you're close enough to them or their situation. You're not like Beyonce. They would accept it from her because she's so far away from what they can achieve in their heads, in their own heads. This is that they see themselves. They couldn't do what you do, but they think they can. So
but they don't, because they don't have the guts.
They couldn't do it.
Even
but
go up there.
They think they can. They think I can fucking do that. I can do what she does, but they can't. But because you're close enough to their lifestyle, they can see themselves doing it. So they give you grief. I said the same to a guy that was opening a bathroom shop, and he gets a lot of grief from other bathroom shops or smaller traders. And I was like, it's because they can see themselves in your shoes. You're getting big. If you were Wix or someone big, they wouldn't give you any shit.
No,
because they can't imagine that. That's too big for them. But
when I started getting all these hate comments from girls, because I do like sexy trade stuff on my OnlyFans as well, but I started getting a lot of hate from a lot of the girls on my Instagram, and I put up my story as kind of I say a lot of stuff as a joke because I'm very catty and sassy. I put up my Instagram story. I was like, are you mad that I've done it, or are you mad that I did it before you? Because it's just the type of person I am. I'm so sassy, and I'm like, sometimes afterwards I'm like, oh, I probably shouldn't have said that.
But there's a bit of truth in it. That's the thing. You're joking, but there is a bit of truth in it, because it might not be those exact reasons, but there is something in there. There's a little bit of jealousy.
I say everything has a meaning behind it. I mean, everybody don't take stuff I say too seriously online, but you know, everything has a little bit of meaning behind it. And it was just funny.
Yeah, you're not far off. I to be honest, I don't see you doing anything crazy on normal social media.
No,
people complain at you for your normal social media.
Yeah, people just hate me on, can hate on me regularly every single day on there. I just post video of me bricklaying and laying the wall, and I'm like,
they're just idiots. Those type of people would be like, whatever you did, they'll be on your case.
I don't really focus on the hate comments. Like, the only reason why I would even reply to them is just for clout. Really, I don't actually really care what they have to say. I just do it so I can get more views. Yeah. They're helping. I hate to cut us short, but I do have I've got to go on the radio very soon as well.
So 2 quick questions, right? I'm sorry to keep you this long, but 2 quick questions. And it's same question I asked to everybody. So advice for the trade. It's really important to get your answers to these. So advice for the trade, to get into a trade, and then the social media side. What would you be advice on that? Because yours kind of exist because of each other. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So go on.
Advice for how to get into a trade.
Yeah, so
or why to get into a trade.
If a young girl wants to be, she's like, I could be a brickie. What does she need to do?
She needs to get onto a site, regardless, like everybody knows somebody in the trade, whether it's your uncle, your dad, your brother, or somebody, a distant friend. Get onto site and just find what trade you want to do, whether you want to be a bricklayer or a carpenter or electrician, and stick at it. Just stick at it. You'll cry, you'll hate it in the beginning, you'll want to get another job, you will hate it. Everybody does. Nobody gets on site for the first week and loves it. But once you start getting the hang of what you're doing, you will love it. So you just got to stick at it. That goes for boys and girls and everybody. And the advice for starting your social media is that you will have people on there that are going to hate on you no matter what you do. If you did something perfectly, they'd hate it for being too perfect. So if you want to start a social media, make sure you just are your own person. Don't let people's negative comments get you down. Stick to your guns and tell people how it is. Don't ignore the hate. I always say that, don't ignore the hate. Just tell them how it is and stick it to them just as hard. Don't let people walk all over you online.
Cool. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Anything that you want to add or promote or tell people about?
Well, my OnlyFans is called Darcie Does It. I've got that on Instagram, so if you want to go follow me over there, that's my sexy tradie account. And then just all my other social medias are called Rattle Kings. But that's really it.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks for the time. I'm sorry to keep you for so long.
No, really appreciate all good. You're fine. You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye, everybody.